Hello everybody, I'm Callum at Repair Wins. Repair Wins is an electronics repair business, and this is the 6th and final part of the custom sleeper PC series, wherein I take an old Lenovo E73 computer case, I put 2 power supplies inside it, I put an i9-9900 motherboard in there and 24 gigs of RAM, I put a powerful GPU inside, and I make all these other modifications to make sure the thing runs cool, to make sure it runs reliably, and to make sure it's actually usable for what I need it to do. In this episode, I install the front I/O, so not just the 2 rubbish USB 2.0 ports, but I install 4 USB 3.0 ports and a Type-C. I replace the front fan with a quiet one. I install the 140mm fan goes back inside the case, and pretty much I just neaten up all the wiring and get this thing into its final form, ready to hopefully be used for a couple of years to come. So I hope you enjoy the episode. I'm going to stop talking, I'm just going to switch to the overhead camera and let's get started. I'm in the middle of recording an unrelated video, but I did just think I'd show off the 3D printed parts because I've reprinted them in black, because obviously that looks a lot better against a black case than grey does. I've put 2 holes here, the idea being that I can put some screws in, and that's then going to hold the this in place, because the screw is going to overhang here and the screw will overhang there. That'll hold it in place. I've put a 1mm bevel on the back instead of the 0.2mm one that I did before, so this so that way I don't have to use a knife and do any filing and stuff. The pieces should just fit nicely. And then I 3D printed a black front bezel as well. I will just need to use a knife and go along the edges and get rid of some of the bits that are sticking up. It's called stringing. The temperature I used is a little bit too high, but this is new filament and I wasn't certain what temperature to set it at. You can see that the bed clearly had sawdust on it from all the work I've been doing recently, and that sort of melted itself into the plastic. And I can actually swipe some of it away, but I just thought it was quite funny. Regardless, though, it's printed, it's come out okay, and it'll look really nice when I've gotten rid of all the all the junk that's sticking up. All I have to do really is just push these through, because they weren't actually as hard to take out as I thought they would be. But I guess I will just cut them free at the bottom, and once they're cut free I can put them in individually. So let's do number 1, which should hopefully just, because I've got a 1mm bevel on the back now, they go in a lot more easily. So I'll just line the 4 of them up. There we are, I've started the 4 of them off, so I will just use some tweezers like I did last time. So get the tweezers, put them on, and then clamp down. And pretty much can drive them all the way home, look. And then you just put it face down on the desk and do the final bit. There we are then. For some reason they twist themselves to the side a tiny bit, but that looks 1,000 times better than the silver version. Goodness, it's really, really hard to push this one down. But luckily, my little trick with the tweezers seems to work here as well. So I chose not to overcomplicate this 3D model, because you'll get the people who will design it to use the absolute bare minimum amount of plastic. They'll have it so that everything has a little screw that holds it in to retain it, and so on and so forth. But for me, I'm like, I just want something that'll do the job, that'll look decent, and if I print this at 10% infill, it's still going to be plenty strong. And you might be thinking, well, you could have made it a lot shorter, but then there's not going to be anything to grip this, so I'm going to have to design a bracket to hold it in place. So sometimes simple is best. I'm going to say that's looking pretty decent, and so now we can just get it in the case. That looks 1,000 times better than it did before. Look at that. Let's hope that these screws actually fit then. So I'll just get this one, start it off by hand. Right, that one's going, so I'll do the other one now. I'll just pull it towards me. Brilliant, that one's going as well, so now I can push down quite firmly. Just what I wanted, that's pulled it right up against the front. Booyah, look at that. So the screws are both pointing straight, they're pointing forwards. We've got our ports installed. We've got the 120mm cover on the fan. This will look a lot better when it's stood up, obviously. I'll wire these in off camera, you've already seen me do it once. You can see that I've wired everything in, so that's the USB ports I've added, the 2 USB ports original to the case, the power supply, and all the other little cables that are needed to make it all work. I've just realised that this project is actually going to be done in about 2 minutes time, and I think about how long it's actually taken me, and how much effort had to be put in to get this thing to work. you know, and it's not bittersweet. I mean, I'm glad it's finished and I can move on to new things. But I've been at this for weeks, you know? Anyway, it's good to have something to focus your attention on. And for me, for some reason, this was this ancient Lenovo E73. There you go. The front fan, coming up almost to the edge, just like I wanted it to. We've got 2 USB ports. The audio is not plugged in because I've not used front panel audio on any of my PCs ever. SD card reader. Screws are holding this nice and firmly in place, so no matter how hard I was to push on here, it would never go backwards. Got the 140mm fan on the side, working really nicely, keeping the thing cool. Spin this around to the back. I could do with getting just a blank bracket to go here. It's a bit annoying that this bracket is missing, but otherwise we've got Ethernet, 4 USB ports, all USB 3, PS2, because I still have a PS2 style keyboard. We're not worried about any of the display ports, a solitary sad little audio jack, and then RS-232 serial, because, you know, what business desktop is complete without a serial connection? And then the best part of the project, I think, the dual power supplies. I mean, you saw the video, it was an insane amount of work to pull these off. I'm really, really pleased that I managed to do it. And I'm also really pleased with that little idea to, you know, to put my name on there, Repair Wins Limited. Electronics Repair Services, my friend. You can see the case. It's scratched, it's beaten up, it's dusty, it's dirty. That serial number there. I don't think that when that thing rolled out the factory in Fujian or wherever it is, 14 years ago, that they expected that someone would be doing this to it. You know, originally it had a humble Intel Core i3. Now it's got an Intel Core i9. And it's got a convenient carry handle so that I can, you know, carry it nowhere. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm really, really happy with how this entire thing has turned out. Really happy indeed. I've jumped a month or 2 ahead now, so you can see obviously my keyboard on the desk, and you can see my headphones, my digital calipers, and so on. I've got the PC switched on in front of me. I've got Steam open just to show you because I do occasionally use it for playing games. I've got Discord down here, though obviously I won't show you that. Heroic Games Launcher and Audacity because I was editing some audio earlier. I've got this video file open, a tool called Obsidian which contains a bunch of personal notes, my emails, which again, you know, I mean I don't really need to open up the emails, but I'll show you the resources. 32 gigs of RAM in the machine because luckily I can occasionally get my hands on a cheap stick of RAM from a water damaged computer or a scrap computer or whatever. Because yes, companies do throw away 2-year-old PCs if they get damaged. I've got a web browser open there, and you can tell I've been using it a lot because the front of it's really dusty, and the side of it is a bit dusty as well. So I'll need to blast it out with compressed air and whatnot. I don't mind doing that every few months. But the point is, this computer is getting used. This isn't just a project that was built that then sat there doing nothing. And ironically, I make use of the USB-C port all the time to charge my phone, despite not thinking I would actually use it. Speaking of, I've had no issues whatsoever with this thing here. It's nice and sturdy and solid. All the USB ports have stayed exactly where I wanted them to. And the thing runs nice, it runs cool, it runs quietly. You know, overall, it really is doing everything I wanted it to do. There you have it then, that was the final clip in this 6-part saga. You know, I'm actually really quite sad that it's all done with now. I mean, I'm not sad that I get to sit and spend 2 or 3 hours editing this thing together, only to end up with something that's a little bit hard to follow and a bit rubbish anyway, but that's sort of the point of learning, isn't it? You know, I learned a lot as I was putting this project together. I've learned a lot as I've been editing it together, and thinking, man, how did the audio end up so crushed? I'm going to have to go and import it into Audacity and then do loads of Googling and try and salvage this clip. And man, why is it so flipping dark? Every other clip's fine, and then this one clip is really dark for some reason. I'm going to have to do loads of Googling and learn how to brighten the clip up and blah, 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 blah. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? I'm a beginner at all of this stuff. I've been doing repairs for a long time, but I haven't taken an angle grinder to my computer case too many times. I haven't ever tried to fit, that's a lie, I haven't fitted 2 power supplies into a PC many times. I haven't had to solve so many damn problems in such a short space of time. And you know, the problems are all of my own making. It's not like someone else, it's not like I was employed somewhere and I was given this task to do. You know, I mean, I employ myself, I'm self-employed, and I thought, I know, I'm going to spend 4 weeks hacking together a computer out of junk. Even though most people just go out and buy one. But if you've been watching for any amount of time, you know that's not me. That's not my ethos. I don't go out and buy a new one. I try and make use of what I already have. So this camera is currently propped on top of a soldering station that I repaired, which is propped on top of a 21-year-old computer case I've cut a hole in the side of, because I've got yet another project roughly along these lines where I'm trying to take a PCB with an APU on it and make it into my new home server, which is going to be way more efficient than the dental practice PC, which I'm currently using as my server. That's obviously coming out in the future, but the point is, I'm not going to stop doing this stuff. I enjoy making the videos. The quality is shaky, I mean, I'll be honest. I've obviously learned a lot over the last 6 parts that I've put together, because sometimes the audio quality is great and the picture quality is pretty good. Other times the audio quality is shaky and the picture looks a bit rubbish. Sometimes for no particular reason, while I'm creating a clip, it'll just get really quiet and it'll get really loud and I have to sit there in the software and try and balance it all. And I use free open source software because I'm not about to pay money for flipping Adobe products, you know. That's besides the point of this video. The point is, if you've got something and it doesn't work, just get the tools out and try and fix it. I mean, I do my repairs with a damaged pine sill. Does the job fine. I have a hot air station I've fixed 3 times. To light the place, I use a lamp that I bought for a £5. I wear a 40-odd-year-old watch. You know, you don't need the latest and greatest. You don't need things that are shiny and new. The only new device I have in here is my smartphone, and I've owned that for years. And the microscope. I mean, pretty much the rest of it's second hand. Regardless though, with all of that aside, I do hope you actually enjoyed watching this series, and if someone has managed to sit there and watch all 6 episodes, including intros and outros, I would be very surprised indeed. Thank you to those 2 people. If you did enjoy it all though, feel free to leave a like. Doesn't cost you anything. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to see where the channel goes. Trying to spread the repair message as far as I can. I say it in most videos. I obviously don't have a flipping script for these outros. Of course not. But I do try and get this, that is my mission really, is to get the repair message spread as far as I can. I want more people fixing their own devices and keeping their own money in their own back pocket. You know, these conglomerates make billions. They don't need your cash, and yet they're desperate for it anyway. And they can't even give you a good product if you're paying money anymore. They're too flipping greedy. Even if you pay thousands of pounds for a laptop, it will still fall apart in 3 years. It will still be slow. You still won't be able to upgrade it. If you buy a Samsung fridge, it's broken in 2 years and they'll give you 10% off a new one. I mean, come on, man. I spent £2 on a fridge and you mean to tell me it's broken in 28 months and you won't honour the warranty? Not having it. So no, get your tools out, fix your own stuff. If you don't want to fix your own stuff, then live vicariously through this madman, because I'll fix plenty of stuff, you know. That's all I've got for you though. I don't know what the next video is going to be. Fingers crossed it's on a Game Boy. You know, I've got a really old Game Boy and I've tried to repair it, and repair ended up not working because I couldn't get the parts, so I had to be a bit creative to make the console work. So fingers crossed I can get that thing edited up in the near future and get it out. But until then, that's all from me. So my god, I'll look at my watch when 6 hours have passed since I started talking. At least it feels like that. I'm going to get out of here now. I'll see you all later. Take care for now, and goodbye my friends, goodbye.